Hey, what's up, Street Talks? Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So, want to throw some other rando turbo thoughts at y'all. So, one thing I'm actually really interested in is morality and ethics. So, the basic notion of morality and ethics is this: should we care for other people, and why should we care for other people? So, this is what I think about a lot. So, first and foremost, obviously I care for other people, but there's certain degrees. My theory is we care for others in proportion to their genetic similarity to me. So for example, I care for my cousin because he's blood related, and also I care for his kid, who's my nephew, because the irony is actually there's also a little bit of my DNA in his kid, a very small percentage, but whatever. And so I think that's the naturalistic thing. We tend to care more about people we're blood related to than strangers or random people. So now the question is, should we care for strangers or other people? And now, obviously this is all subjective based on your own morality. Generally speaking, Christian morality or utilitarian thinking, or even this notion of effective altruism, which is kind of interesting, is that okay, how can we do the most social good the most efficiently and so forth. So to me, this is actually a really interesting idea, because I think that's what the future is going to be. The future, I think, it's actually going to be less about technology. It's going to be more about morality and ethics, because there's going to be more and more people, and I already see this too, is that this bifurcation between the hyper rich and the poor. My buddy Justin told me this pretty good too, is you're in San Francisco, there's essentially this insane hierarchy between Uber drivers and the tech elite, right? So morality and ethics. So should we care for other people? I think this is, let me just share my random thoughts with you. So first and foremost, before caring for strangers or other people, I think it's best to take care of your own house, or take care of your own family, take care of those closest to you. So first, this is my hierarchy. First, take care of yourself. You're the most important thing, because without you can't help nobody else. Cool. Second, help your husband, wife, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, because they're probably closest to you. After them, probably your mom or siblings, whatever. And then after that, distant family and stuff, and then maybe the rest of humanity. So the problem about caring too much about helping others is sometimes helping others. I think most people have good intentions, but actually it could actually kind of worsen things. So for example, when we're trying to help, let's say, poor kids in Africa or something like that. So I think all the people who help have really good intentions, but the problem is it actually makes a lot of these villages and places dependent on foreign aid, rather than becoming more robust and becoming self-independent. And so, this is where I'm going to get a little bit political, where I'm Korean American, my family's from South Korea. And actually, I watched this pretty good movie, I forget what it's called, but essentially it's about how the IMF bailed out South Korea during the financial crisis. Essentially at this point, South Korea is just a pawn, or part of essentially it's kind of a hidden territory of America now. This is my theory, because America / the IMF bailed out South Korea and opened up more free trade to make it more accessible to American goods, outside goods, and whatever. And essentially at this point, America has the hegemony, which means America kind of loosely controls the world, and America wants to stay on top, so it helped out South Korea, and also during the war and stuff like that, to promote her own self-interest, which is continued grandeur and proliferation of American ideals, and so forth. So for me, it's actually kind of useful, because I'm an American, so that's that's obviously good for me. And also being Korean American is a very interesting thing right now too, because you know, Parasite just won the Oscars and whatnot. People love K-pop and Psy and stuff like that. So actually right now to be a Korean American is actually probably the best thing to be in America right now. But anyways, so thinking about, you know, the notion of helping others, you know, I would say don't intentionally try to help others, just kind of like let it happen naturally. So I think when people make the aim of their life to help other people, you essentially end up sacrificing yourself like Jesus, and you become a little bit more morbid and weaker in trying to help other people. And I think that taking to the extreme, caring too much about helping other people will actually be bad for you, the individual. My personal philosophy is the best way to maximize your personal altruism is become the most selfish individual that you can, and also share whatever you create and produce, and then let your extreme abundance kind of help other people. So like, once again, I'm gonna say some things which some people might find controversial, right? So a lot of people are like quite anti-Uber. Yo, I think Uber is the best thing ever, because first and foremost for me, I don't need to own a car no more because I could get places. And also I could never afford a taxi in the past, and now I can. And also it's given so many people the ability to become self-employed and get new sources of side income, so that's good. And you know, people are like, oh, it's feeling so bad for the taxi drivers. I'm like, yeah, that kind of sucks, but ultimately I kind of more believe in the notion of like creative destruction, that new innovations in the economy, humanity in general, happens through the destruction of old economies, which is like the taxi thing. And I think as a consequence of Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, there's actually more wealth being created in society, which I think is a good thing. So I think with morality and ethics, it's really tricky too, because if you zoom out enough, essentially almost everything feels like kind of like justified. Everything feels kind of justified. So for example, like, you know how the Mongolians raided and pillaged everybody, and now no one really feels bad about that, which is kind of crazy. And I bet you even now, like, you know, 1,000 years into the future, I think the sad thing is that like people's not really going to remember the Holocaust so much, because the descendants of the descendants of the descendants of the descendants are probably going to die off, and you know, people's not going to really remember it anymore, because it's not even a matter of not remembering it, it's just like you don't have a personal connection to it no more, so you're not going to really feel that bad about it too. Because like, even for me, just like one generation removed from the Korean War, like my mom grew up in poverty and like kind of hungry all the time, could eat an egg once a week, and I don't feel any sort of real sympathy or empathy for that. And kind of similarly, you know, I kind of grew up, you know, poor, working class, blah blah blah, you know, shitty dad, you know, single mom, and my future kids, they're not going to understand the struggle that I went to. And you know, I'm not going to try to like force them to understand. It's just more of like, you know, I think having a sense of gratitude is a good thing, but you can't force people to be grateful. It's something that happens or not. So I think one of the best ways that you could change the world or make the world a better place is just be nicer to people, right? It's just like, you see a stranger, you know, help the lady open the door, put the bags in there, or just like, even you know, you have a friend who's a little bit lonely, just give them a call and see how they're doing. Even Nassim Taleb has a thing which is pretty good, is that like, you know, probably one of the most virtuous things you could do is just like invite a lonely friend for a cup of coffee, or just give them a phone call. So I've been trying to do that myself. So like the rule is whenever possible, don't text, just try to make a phone call. And it seems like this has actually been you know, beneficial for me and also beneficial to my friends. So yeah, moving forward in life, I would say don't make your sole aim and focus in life to be helping others. I would say the best thing is to strive to make you the most epic you as possible. And on top of that, you know, you got surplus energy, reach out to your friends, family, and those you care about, and help out strangers. But the goal shouldn't be to help others. The goal is for you to become the most epic you possible. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace out.